Right, it's come to that time of year again. The Preston Innovations Festival down at Whiteacres. And I thought I'd give you an update on what's going on whilst I'm watching Fast and Furious 5. There we go, little glimpse there. I've only seen it about a dozen times. We just turn the sound down. Right, so we're on day 3. I didn't video the first couple of days because the weather's been really bad, rained every day, and the footage was pretty poor, so I didn't bother showing it. The first day I was on the canal, and I ended up third in my section. It fished really, really hard. First day I was on the canal, third in my section with £26, and really struggled. Shows how bad the canal fished with £26 coming third. 66 won the section, then £50. Stuart Brazier with £50. Myself with 26, and then Mikey Williams, next peg, had £20 and was fourth in the section. I caught mainly across, couldn't get a bite on anywhere else in my swim. I had one fish down the edge with meat and ground bait, and I mainly caught tight against the far bank at 16 metres where I might have found like 18 inches and had a few bites on that line, but the last 2 hours struggled for a bite. I think I put one fish in the net in the last 2 hours. Then the second day I was at Porth and I drew 38, peg 38, and it was quite a good area really that, apparently from the previous week in the Maver Festival was some consistent weights from that area, from pegs 35 up to 40, that was the area you wanted to be. And I mainly concentrated on the feeder on a short chuck at 30 metres and the long pole where I fed a fish meal mix like a dynamite green swim stim, brown crumb, black swim stim just to darken my mix off a bit, and a little bit of silver X bream, and I fed a bit of chopped worm, casters, dead maggots, and I loose fed casters over the top of that line along with the occasional ball, just throwing a nugget of ground bait with some chopped worm and casters and a few dead maggots in. And that line really worked for the last 2 hours. I had a few skimmers on the short chuck on the feeder, and then gradually it died. And I suppose if I'd have carried on with the feeder, I might have actually made something work. But I went on the pole, and it was, I was getting a fish at chuck, small roach, small skimmers, and so I stuck on that. I ended up second in my section with £18. Jack Harness on peg 40, fished a fantastic match and won our section and was second on the lake with £19.6. I was second in my section and third on the lake with £18. So it was a reasonable start. And then the third day I was on Belingi and I drew peg 42, and here's the video. Hope you like it, and I'll give you a rundown after the video of what happened and what I weighed.
How many you got, Jack? You what? I've got 9 carts. fish.
Forty-two. Big fish, that. Yeah. Two chances. Bob and fucking Slim.
You added that one.
I didn't see that 11. It's 87, 10. I didn't see the 11 over the other side. I've only just fucking put the next way. That's alright, baby. It's not like that. Leave her alone. Fucking tell me what to do, my missus.
Right, so Belingi, peg 42. Well, to be honest with you, I fancied the peg. Good area. It's one of my favourite arms. I always seem to do well in that arm until this match. Quite a surprise, really. 42 to me looks a good peg. Middle of the lake. Had quite a lot of space. Got a spare peg to my right. Tommy Hillier was to my left. And I just really fancied the area, to be honest with you. And in all honesty, I had a really good start to the match. My plan was to try and catch a fish short, maybe 2 or 3 fish in the first half hour. Just feeding 6 more cubes of meat, just at the bottom of the near side shelf, which was like 6 metres out. And I'd never had a bite on that line, but I thought it doesn't matter, I'll catch later on in the match on that line. So then I proceeded to go further out on the long pole, where it's slightly deeper on the silty bottom. And I did exactly the same. I just kinder cupped 6 mil cubes of meat, started at 13 metres, and with the intention just to work my way out to eventually 16 metres. And I never had a bite at 13 metres, and then I started catching the odd fish at 14 metres. and then I caught 16 metres as well. So that kind of like lasted for me until the last hour and a half of the match, and by that time I'd managed to get 9 carp on that line. I had 9 carp on the long line, and then I dropped back on the short line. I had a couple of carp on that line as well. Maybe like with an hour and 20 minutes remaining, that's when I dropped back on the short line and it finally went under. I had been trying it throughout the match because I've been like feeding by hand a few cubes of meat on the short line, and every 10-15 minutes I just kept dropping on that short line and see if I could get a quick run of fish on it. But as I say, it didn't really work till the last hour and 20 minutes when I did drop back on the short line and I got a couple of carp. So with an hour remaining, I'd got 11 carp, and for Belingi standards, that's a good start really, because the last hour is always a good time at Belingi. You catch a lot of fish on the short line and a lot of fish down the margins, and they're usually bigger fish in that last hour. And the amount of times I've got out of jail or boosted my weight by a big, boosted my final weight by a big margin in that last hour, it's happened so many times. So I was quietly confident that I was going to catch at least 5 or 6 more carp to add to my final weight. Well, a real surprise to me, because I only managed to get 1 bite in the last hour, and that was a real shock. So I ended up with 12 carp, and in that last hour when I was sat there not getting a bite on my short or my edge lines, everyone on the other side of the lake who were in my section just caught really well short and edge. Myself and Tommy Hillier just struggled. Why, I don't know, but we did. We really struggled, and apparently Steve Saunders earlier on in the week on my peg had exactly the same problem, where he went racing ahead, catching really well, winning the lake, and then the last hour struggled for a bite when everybody else around him caught. So why that's happened, I'm not sure. So I ended up weighing 87 pound, and luckily I checked my scales as well, because they'd only put me down as 77, and then I checked what they'd written down, and it was actually 87. So it's always a good point to remember, just check the weights that they're writing down. It wasn't purposely done, it was just a mistake. These things happen. So anyway, I ended up with 87 pound, and that was only good enough for 6 in my section, which I wasn't too happy about, because, as I said, at the start it was a good draw. So it really cost me that last hour. I only needed £110 for 3rd in the section. £162 won the section and the lake, and £120 was 2nd. And I'm, when it comes to Belingi, it's not a lot of fish. That like 3 or 4 more fish, and I'd have had £110, £115. So that was it really. So that was definitely my dropper. And then my day after tomorrow, I was at Pollowin. So see what happens then.